What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Breaking the Law premiere show on YouTube Live. My name is Breaking the Law. Follow me on Instagram at breakingthelaw.cards. Hop into our very active soccer card Discord using the link below. And make sure you like and subscribe, or as they say, smash that like button to be subscribed to all of our future videos. Welcome in tonight. This is our debut episode. We're going to keep it short and sweet tonight as we introduce ourselves to you. Many of you know me. I have been a breaker and streamer on Whatnot for about 18 months now and maintain the Breaking the Law Discord, soccer card Discord community. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, welcome in. This is going to be our soccer card channel where we bring you content, debates, reviews of recent card sales, but let's talk about some of the stuff that we've done before. So one of the things that I've done before is a lot of shows on Whatnot, where I've done streaming live on Whatnot. These are some of our themed shows that we've done in the past. So we had, just so you kind of get a flavor of the kind of stuff that we would do. Intermittently, I'll run breaks, but primarily the driver are thematic-based shows like this. So we did a Ted Lasso show where we had all Ted Lasso cards, limited edition cards, memorabilia, autographs, and all kinds of fun stuff. We did last year on Transfer Deadline Day. Sad to say we won't be running this back this year, unfortunately, because I'm out of town. But all afternoon from about 12 o'clock noon to the close of the transfer deadline window, we were live on Whatnot, auctioning all cards of people who had been transferred or were rumored to be transferred during that previous window up until the close of the day. We had the Fabrizio Romano show in the background. We've done all kinds of stuff. World Cup bet shows. Chaseopoly, which is a modified version of Monopoly, is always a popular one. And yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this channel is use this as a way to kind of bring in more video content, longer form content, some discussions with friends of mine that are soccer card enthusiasts and collectors. And so we're going to use this video channel to do that. We'll talk a lot about the soccer card market, try to answer any questions you have. Everything is opinion-based here, but we try to back it all up with research and facts. We'll talk a lot about, and you'll see in a minute, we're going to get into some recent sales of cards and maybe where some prices have closed on some popular cards recently and what that tells us about the market, where we're at and where we're going. We'll also talk about recent news. You know, there's hot topics in the news. Certainly the Fanatics NFL stuff is popular among the NFL folks. We'll talk about maybe how that will impact us here in the soccer card community. And we'll bring in special guest conversations. So we'll have an opportunity for guests to come in, for us to debate topics, talk together, collaborate, maybe go a little bit of head-to-head. If we have opposing views on stuff, just a chance to bring in more friends and try to grow this hobby that we all love. And one last little bit is we'll probably get into a little bit of some product reviews, box openings, maybe a little bit of case openings. And in that vein, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, because tomorrow in the afternoon I'm going to be going live and I'm going to be doming an entire case of Merlin Blasters, personal case of Merlin Blasters. And then the next day in our Discord, which is the link over that way, the link down below, we'll be selling most of the singles that we pull from those blasters. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's going to be tomorrow, Thursday, August 24th, live here on YouTube. Merlin Blaster case dominant. All right. If you have any comments or questions at any point, feel free to drop them in the comment box below. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you want to just say hi, you could do that too. Always happy to know that folks are out there for our first stream. If there's any issues or you can't hear me or anything like that, feel free to DM me or message in the comment box below. Sorry, first time on YouTube. Streamed a lot, but not a lot on YouTube. And I'll be happy to address or answer any of those questions. So thank you so much if you are here. Let's get into it. So what we're going to do, topic number one, is I want to look at and talk about a few card sales that have happened in the past week. And I think we'll probably, if folks like this, we'll make this a relatively frequent segment on the show where we look at some popular and some not so popular cards and see, where they closed, try to verify if it's going to be purchased. Actually paid for, as we know, a lot of problems, especially on eBay, and just kind of talk about where we think what that tells us about what the market's doing. And the one card I wanted to start out with, I think, is the biggest card, certainly one of the biggest cards that closed on auction this past weekend, and this is the 1 of 1 10 signature card out of Museum Collection. It looks like this, something like this. This is not the exact version, but it's a what do you want to call this? A 5-page booklet. I don't even know how you'd begin to deal with something like this. A 5-page collapsible booklet. I know these are popular in other sports. That's going to have 10 unique autographs on it. This version is not the one that was sold. The one that was sold that closed at auction at $9,355 had, let's see, who do we got here? Messi, of course, Youngman's son, Neymar, Holland, Bellingham. I can't even fit all the names on the title line. Ansu Fati, João Felix, Pedri, Kai Havertz, Wolf, and Thomas Muller. As far as I know, there's 5 of these 1 of 1 booklets. They're all a little different. This is the first one that's come for sale. It's a redemption, not surprising. And $93.55 is the sale price. I haven't heard yet if it's been paid for. I know at least one of the people that owns a percentage of this. I think this was hit in a PYP, Pick Your Player break north of 7. So there's likely several different owners of this card for each of the 10 Pick Your Player spots, which would probably always be the case no matter how, if it was broken pick your team or pick your player. I have not seen on Terapeak, which is usually where I'll go to verify, that this was paid for yet. So we have a close date. I think it sold on the 20th. So we technically have until tomorrow, about 25 hours from now, for this thing to be paid for. So it'll be interesting to see if that gets paid for, that gets relisted. That's a huge price for a very unique card. Some very desirable folks, but really no thread connecting them all together. But punching in at just under $10,000. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. Moving on to maybe one of the talks of the day, at least the one we're going to cover tonight, Arda Güler. So this is the rookie, played last year for Fenerbahce in Turkey, is now officially a Real Madrid player, although he's out injured for the time being, which probably, I guess, somehow is depressing his market, but it just doesn't seem to be from this sale. So I think this was the first autograph of his. He has his first mass-produced rookies, at least. He's had some rookies out of the set in Turkey, but his first Topps or Panini major company rookie in this year's release of Merlin that just came out a few weeks ago. And he's got a base card in that set, and he also has autographs in that set. So this is a Mojo, one of the nicer autographs that you could pull, numbered to 99, sold on bids, and I do think this was paid for $630. And to me, we've got some other sales that are maybe slightly more reasonable in terms of the auctions. 1 to 150 sold for $400 since then. These are all since that Sunday night auction, mostly ending on Tuesday. $250 for a refractor, that seems fine, especially for a hot prospect. And then one sold for $150 last night for $676, which again seems super high. But I looked in that, the bidding, I think on that one wasn't crazy. Didn't seem that anyone was shilling it. So to me, seems like a good player. We haven't really get to see very much of him, so we're relying on the fact that he is a young player that signed for Real Madrid, which usually means good things, but it doesn't always mean great things. I think back to Luka Jovic, the striker, who has now bounced all over the place since crashing out of Real Madrid. So jury's definitely still out. The card value's a little crazy high. It reminds me a lot of Mathis Tell from last year's Merlin set. At the time was a staid player. I mean, I remember prices on a PYP for him in a case of Merlin being $400 in some breaks. And now, I don't think any of his Merlin cards are worth $400. Probably not even close. And that's a guy who made a big move, or made a move to a big club in Bayern Munich and still has struggled. So always tough to say with the young rookies. Certainly, folks are hot and heavy for him. Sometimes some breakers mispriced. Fenerbahce didn't know he was in there, or didn't sense the value. And I think the market is kind of corrected where you're seeing this spot, somewhere in the $200 range for a case of Merlin, which you get a refractor or base auto, and you're all the way home pretty much, making your money back, which you can't get with every spot nowadays. So interesting guy. We will definitely be monitoring the Arda Guler market, especially as he returns to the pitch. What's he going to do? I feel like this is a little high, but again, it's early days on a product too. So, if his cards and autos taper down into the 100 range for the 150 refractor autos, maybe then you could see making an investment on a clean card. But for me, at this point, I am not an Arda Guler investor at these prices. Certainly not at the price that this Mojo to 99 sold. But you take them for $200 in a case break, and you hit one of these to 99, and if you could pull $400 to $600, double your money. That's pretty good just off the one card. You don't have very many chances to do that in this Merlin product. To me, Merlin is always more of a volume game, and trying to get some of the rookies that aren't going to be in other products and hope that they'll come through. Certainly now you've had a whole run of Topps Chrome rookies. We've got Stadium Club coming out on Monday. The rookie checklist has pretty much been burned through. Guler is one of those guys that wasn't in one of the earlier checklists, makes his debut. Plus, to have rookie autos is a nice feature. So that is something I'm typically looking for. Although I want to be able to get into those players at a cheaper entrance price, so that I have more potential room. Certainly, if they pop. I think back to like a Florian Balogun last year, who I was not all over, but some of my buddies were, and could get a low entry point if you were buying him and his cards from Arsenal collectors who didn't know who he was. That kind of thing, that kind of potential upward trajectory from a player would be real nice. That's typically what I'm scouting for. I thought that this Guler auto that closed on Sunday night, one of his first autos that sold, was a little crazy, so I expect to see the market continue to come down, especially because he's not playing. But it is something that we will certainly be monitoring here. And then the last real big card that I wanted to talk about tonight was this Messi Diamond Eminence. It's from 2018. These cards are interesting. I've owned a Christian Pulisic Diamond Eminence. I wasn't thrilled with the 2018 Eminence cards. I understand the gold pen. It's beautiful. First problem I have is I'm not a huge fan of super thick cards, so I don't love that to begin with. Certainly here you have him in the Argentina kit, which is helpful. So this closed on Monday night, $3,200. On card auto to 5 with the little diamond in. It seems like a good price. The market on these has really cooled in the past few months since the World Cup. You've got one essentially the same, different color jersey to 5 in February that did $4,000, and then just under $4,000 in March, 3,700 in June, and now even with Messi playing here in America and being super popular, all over TV, all over even regular, like plain old ESPN, not even the soccer piece of it, all over the pop culture here, certainly all over the card hobby. You get a cooling off, drop of about $750 from where we were in February with this card. But I feel like $3,200 is not every collector is going to be able to get into that card. It's 2018 Eminence. You compare this. What I looked at was the price of his 2022 Eminence cards, World Cup winning year, and you see that although the market has substantially cooled on those from February. February we had one to 5 with the diamond do $11,000, and then we had the quad diamond one do $13,000 in March. The regular diamond to 5 did $8,000 in April, and then in July we had one do just over $6,000. I like the 2022 Eminence on cards. They're beautiful. I don't have a Messi one, but I do have a Vinny Jr. that I picked up at the National. I think it's a cleaner looking card than the gold smudge with the blue ink. But certainly those in the World Cup winning year are doing great. You don't have any problems. The market's come down a little bit. If you could get into one of those for $5,000-6,000, that may be a decent pickup. Overall, the Messi market is as an individual player in the past 2 months is done pretty well, in uh, pretty stable here in the United States. Certainly, market over the past month, we've had about a 12.75% rate growth on Messi cards, which is to be expected, I think, especially with the United States driving a lot of these purchases. He's now here in America. He's playing. He's scoring a ton of goals. His team won a trophy. The Messi market, even after the World Cup, was one of the only individual players who was still, continuing that growth rate. If I compare that to like the overall card market since about the end of the World Cup, soccer cards in particular were still down about 30% since February. So we had kind of a precipitous decline over the course of the past 6 to 8 months. Seems to have leveled off, and now hopefully what we'll see going forward is scoop back up as we kind of open up the season here. Champions League will start in a few weeks, and that usually kind of gets things going and off to the races here. But the Messi market, I think, is kind of buttressing and supporting the overall soccer card market, which has been down pretty badly since February. Not too crazy compared to other sports. All the data, in case you're wondering, provided by Card Ladder. So I have a subscription to Card Ladder. We're going to use their data to kind of, I know there's flaws in the data and collection methods and all that, but they have a pretty decent set of data that's available. So while it may not always be perfect, it is what we're going to use to try to corroborate most of the stuff. And then we have had in the past month, good news is upward trajectory in the soccer card market of about 2%. Kind of leveled off here for the past few weeks, but I do expect that as we get into the EPL season and European season, and we get into Champions League competition and start to have those big, great matches between European powerhouses, that we will see this tick up. Certainly more Messi playing more frequently in the United States of America, I think will kind of just add to this acceleration. So hopefully we're on the uptick here. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to do. So now I'm happy to take any questions. Drop your questions in the comment box below. Certainly always happy to have questions from anybody. Martin says, I hope the market keeps cooling. I'm struggling to find a Messi auto that I like for a decent price. Oh, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? It's one of those things where and I just moved to Messi Auto. We had a Messi Mania show, and I got a good deal on it and moved it to a great home and a guy that's enjoying it, certainly. It's one of the things I wanted to buy at National and just couldn't pull the trigger on, which is probably a topic for a whole nother day in terms of what was at National, what wasn't at National, and how that all worked. But certainly the Messi Auto remains, I think, for me, one of the crown jewels of the collection that I'm always looking to add the right component. Now with Stadium Club coming out, one of the things that I'm going to be looking at, Stadium Club coming out next week, is can I potentially get into one of the Messi autos that's in there? He's going to have a dual auto with Ronaldo, which will probably be beyond my spending limits. But he is going to have individual autos, and I think he's going to have Beam Team autos. I'm not sure. I got to double check that. Oh yeah, good question here from Martin. You may have said it, I missed it. What are you using for the data? It's very interesting. So I'm using a Card Ladder Pro subscription. So if you go into Card Ladder and you subscribe, they have all these different indexes, and you can kind of mess with the data and manipulate it and kind of extrapolate it from there. I use Card Ladder a lot. One thing I will say that I don't love is it doesn't do a good job of scraping international sales. So it's scraping the data from eBay primarily, and it's not great for that. So I'm still using, like when I'm running comps, I like Card Ladder because it's quick and it goes back farther than 130 point, but I'm still going to use 130 point for my individual comps, and also Terapeak I'm using to confirm paid. So I'll give you an example of this. I have, as many of you know, a Doosan Auto Superfractor from Topps First Edition that I hit in a break and have graded, and I wore it around my neck. I don't have the necklace around. I wore it around my neck at the National, Wanted to move it because I've just, kind of over the whole Doosan hype, whether he's going to stay or go, just done with it. So sold it on eBay. If you look on 130 Point, you will see that as a sale on 130 Point. That gentleman never paid. So it doesn't show up on Terapeak, but it will show up on 130 Point. And normally you'd think 130 Point is more reliable than just regular eBay because it will give you the best offer price. But it's not always perfect in terms of the confirmed sales. I'll usually check Terapeak, which is within the eBay ecosystem for that. But for our data, we're going to use Card Ladder. Matt says, very cool data to look at. Also really like the BTL sign. There he is. I'm still working on the studio here. I have like a Bukayo Osaka jersey up there, sign that I may move over here. We're still working out the kinks here. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. Appreciate that. Amit says, thanks for sharing. Always good to have the crew in here. Brian C., that's me. What a guy. With friends like these. Am I right? With friends like these. So that's basically going to be how we're going to do most of the shows is we'll have a little rundown of maybe some cards that have ended in the past week and stuff that's interesting, stuff that's exciting. We're going to have, like I said, tomorrow's going to be the live Merlin rip. I'm going to take a case of Merlin to the face and see how we do with it. That'll be tomorrow afternoon. And then Friday night, I'm going to sell, if you're in the Discord, I'm going to do a little stack sale for some of the singles. And I think that we have real opportunity here. I'm very excited. A bunch of my buddies want to join in and kind of participate, which I think will be a lot of fun. If you haven't gotten to meet some of these guys, especially those of us who are have been talking to each other for years in the Whatnot channels, going to Nashville, meeting these guys was great, but I think also bringing some folks on video to actually have a chance to talk about our opinions. There's so much wheeling and dealing at National that you didn't really get a chance to sit down and just talk about, the cards and why we do what we do and what we love about it and what we don't love about it and frustrations and opportunities and that kind of stuff. So I'm hopeful that the channel will give us the opportunity to do that. We got some more questions here. Is now a good time to buy Messi or sell? And then Brian C., that's me. I have a Messi for sale. Good time to buy or sell. Well, the market is up. So, I mean, if you're not super into the card, I wouldn't say it's a true time to sell just because I think that there's more growth potential with Messi, and I think we're still in a point where the market is overall down. He's up. Like Messi card sales are up in terms of volume for sure. But when you look at the value, if you're a value proposition guy and you want to max your ROI, when you look at where's that slide? Like when you look at this, well, you could see, on the 2022 Eminence, cut halfway in price. Now the question is, are we reaching a floor, or is the floor going to go lower? Personally for me, I wouldn't be liquidating any Messi right now if I didn't have to. I mean, I don't think it's the time to get out of the Messi market, certainly. I'm buying and selling. Kind of my approach to it is he's not a PC guy for me. So if I see a good value on a Messi card where I think that there's room to grow or room for it to kind of kick up, or I get an opportunity in like a PWCC auction like we've talked a lot about historically, kind of people missing that stuff and being able to scoop something low, especially things like Messi rookies that are highly liquid and tend to hold their value, that 2004 Mega Crack set. I'm still buying all that stuff, frankly. I am selling some Messi, but it tends to be either stuff I'm doing with a show or, like I hit a Atomic Refractor to 250 into Merlin break, and I'll probably grade that and cash it in for $100 if it grades well, like that kind of stuff. I'm not a high-end Messi collector, but I probably would not be liquidating high-end Messi at the moment unless I got a premium for it. Brian C., that's me, says that he has a Messi for sale. Once again, reach out to him. All right. Well, that's it. I don't see any more questions. I appreciate it. Nice little quick 25 minutes here tonight. We will come back with some longer form stuff. Like I said, we're going to have the Merlin case that I'm going to dome tomorrow on the stream. And I think next week I'm going to be back with a Saudi special. What is the impact that Saudi Arabia is having on players, specifically on their card values as they leave Europe or as they leave England and move to Saudi Arabia? What's really happened to their cards? We all say that the values are going down, but let's dig deep in the data and see if we can find out. That's it for me. Make sure you give us a follow, breakingthelaw.cards on Instagram, and make sure you hop in our soccer card Discord. The link is down below, bit.ly/BTL Discord. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.